Hello, dear ma'am and classmates. Good afternoon. For today's topic, we will talk about the foundation of language biologically. Fortunately, our group was assigned to discuss about the human brain and language. Now, nakatry na lat ba kamo pangutana sa inyo kaugalingon kung giano pag-produce sang tao sang sounds kag language? Or have you ever wondered kung nano ayhan ang mahitabo sa should sang aton utok the moment na maghuna-huna or mag-process kitay information? Do ka-complex niya huna-huna ano? Among as reporters of this topic, we will try our best na mapasayon or mapasample pag-explain sa inyo kung giano pag-process sang aton utok ang language before ta pinimalitok or matabik. Biologically speaking, ang aton gayud utok ang pinakauna mong function before kita makaproduce or maka-acquire sang language. So let's us first talk about the major parts of the brain na responsable sa aton pag-produce sang language. So let's begin with the brain lateralization theory. Brain lateralization theory states that the two halves of the brain function differently but yet interdependently. So the two halves of the brain are the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere, this is more analytical in nature, pays attention to details, handles assignment and processes information sequentially. So take care of the tasks like writing, reading, and speaking. So ini na hemisphere is also concerned and reasoning, rationality, logic, dealing with hard facts. Ang mga tao na may strong left hemisphere kay may inclination sa science, math, and technology. And also, may clear picture lat ina sila sa ilang mga goals due to their clear set of planning, clear set of goals. Tungod sa ka-active sining mga left brain individuals, sila inang gitawag natin na mga extrovert or introverted in nature. Fun fact, the left hemisphere controls the right portion of the body. So, ang aton left hemisphere, siya ang mo-control sa right part sa aton body. The right hemisphere. This hemisphere of the brain is concerned with emotions or feelings, intuition, visualization, spatial knowledge, helps in making inferences, provides in making holistic perception, self-awareness. So, people with strong right hemisphere kay kalabanan mga introverts. Another fun fact, the right hemisphere controls the left side of the body. So, kung ang left hemisphere mo controls ang right part sa ating body, ang right hemisphere naman kay mo control sa left side sa ating body. And remember, left hemisphere is highly responsible in the production of language. Since stated na minakalina na ang left hemisphere kaya mo ang mo control sa mga fine movements nga required para makaproduce ang speech. So ara kitay duha ka areas na importante sa aton pag-produce sang language. So amay ni ang Broca's area and Wernicke's area. So to further discuss this topic, let me call on Ms. Sendon. Ms. Sendon, please take over.
Thank you, April. Good afternoon again, everyone. So, I am assigned to discuss about the Broca's area and the Wernicke's area, as well as the other parts and regions of the brain. So, let us first discuss about the Broca's area and the Wernicke's area, kay ang umini silang duwa ka area nga importante sa aton pag-produce sang language. So, the Broca's area is located in front of the brain in the frontal lobe, while the Wernicke's area kay mostly makita naton more or less beneath or behind the ear towards the back of the temporal lobe. The Wernicke's area. So, the Wernicke's area is named after Carl Wernicke. Ini siya na area sang aton utok kay diri mahitabo ang analysis of word or comprehension. Diri mahitabo ang auditory comprehension of speech sounds. So na diri gi-state na if ini siya na certain area or portions ng aton brain kay may damage, possibly makaproduce or maka-acquire kitay speech comprehension difficulties. Next is the Broca's area. So, this certain part of the brain is named after Paul Broca. Diri, i-transfer ang comprehended na speech sounds halin sa Wernicke's area para makaproduce na sang speech or malitok na naton ang language. So, diri gi-focus ang aton speech production. So, gi-state lang diri na if ini siya na portion sa aton brain kay may damage, so possibly ara kitay difficulty in producing speech. Now, let us discuss about the other regions or parts of the brain. First is the primary motor cortex. Amo ini siya ang mo control sa movement sa aton muscles. Ikaduha kay ang primary auditory cortex. Amo ini siya ang mag-process sa mga sounds na aton mabatian. Ikatulo kay ang angular gyrus. So ang angular gyrus kay amo ni siya ang mag-assemble sa mga informations para makasabot kita sa mga words or even concepts. Next is the primary visual cortex. So the primary visual cortex is located in the posterior pole of the occipital cortex. So amo ini siya ang portion sa aton utok kung diin ma-process natin ang information about sinang mga butang na naglihok or mga wa naglihok. Sunod, inira siya na portion sa aton brain kay makatabang sa aton sa pag-recognize ng mga patterns. Lastly is the arcuate fasciculus. So the arcuate fasciculus connects the Wernicke's area to the Broca's area.
Good afternoon everyone. So the next topic is malfunction and disorder in the brain function. So there are mild and severe malfunctions in the brain function. So in mild malfunction, we have here the tip of the tongue or malapropism. It is when you know the word but it won't come to the surface. Then malapropism was named after Mrs. Malaprop, which means misuse of a word for another one. So kabantay ka mo ari tayo may inang ara kita gusto isulti nga ara na sa tuno na una pero di natin masulti, di ba kalibog. Then alat sa tayo may masulti natin pero lain nga word natin masulti pero pareha lang sila sounds. So for example, distinguisher, instead nga distinguisher ang masulti natin extinguisher. Sunod meditation, instead nga meditation medication. Next is slip of the tongue or spoonerism. So spoonerism is the changing the sounds in pronunciation. Then spoonerism was named after William Spooner, which means the interchange of two initial sounds. Or bali ang spoonerism is verbal error ini siya, which is accidentally na transpose ang usa ka speaker ang initial sounds sang two or more words. Then example, you have missed all my mystery lectures, instead na you have missed all my history lectures. Then next example is cheese and fips, instead nga fish and chips. The next is preservation error. So it is when a speaker carry over a sound from one another to next. So example, black boxes instead of black boxes. So bali ang sound sang una-unang word kay iyagi dyan to sa ikaduhang word. Bali black man ang sa una-una, bali ang bil iyagi sa boxes instead nga black boxes. Sunod, anticipation error. So when the sound is brought forward, bali daw opposite ini siya sang preservation error. So example, Roman numeral instead na Roman. Then a cup of tea instead na a cup of tea. Then a highly played player instead na a highly paid player. Next is the interchange of word final sounds or less common. So example, stick neck instead na stiff neck. So nagkabali ang ila final sounds, so bali nagka-interchange. So look before you lick instead nga look before you leap. Next is slip of the ear. It is the opposite of the slip of the tongue. Then mo-occur ni siya kung inang na-mishear gay nato nang gisulti sang usa ka tawo sa aton. Inang person nag-expect kita nga amin nato nabatian pero dili parali na inang nag-expect kita nga love kita niya pero dili. Charis. So example, great ape instead na great tape bali ni-post siya sa ikaduhang word bali nabatian niya ang T instead nga gray lang nabatian niya ang T great bali game niya nga great ape. Then next is European Union instead nga European Union. That's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Renila Carabanya and I'm going to tackle about aphasia. So one of the problems that having to a human being in sending language production and comprehension is what we call aphasia. So aphasia is an impairment of language function due to brain damage, and it also leads to difficulty in understanding and or producing linguistic forms. So for example, Alicia. So Alicia is difficulty in reading and agraphia is difficulty in writing. And also anomia is difficulty in using proper nouns or words. So may ara some different kinds ng aphasia according to place orderly damage in the left hemisphere brain that is responsible for language production and comprehension. So first is the Broca's aphasia, and second Wernicke's aphasia and conduction aphasia. Ang mostly nga reason sa may aphasia is gikan sila stroke. So Broca's aphasia is what we call motor aphasia. So for example, is reduced amount of speech, distorted articulation, slow and effortless speech, and comprehension is better than production. So Broca's aphasia is a form of aphasia in which the person knows what they want to say but unable to produce the word or sentence. So ang person na may Broca's aphasia problem kay maglisod sila pag produce ang language and maybe unable to produce the correct words. So bali limited dagayod sina ang ila words na ma-speech. Then second is Wernicke's aphasia. So that we call it sensory. So first is difficulties in auditory comprehension and produce fluent speech, difficult to understand, and difficulty in finding correct words. And Wernicke's aphasia is a language disorder that make it hard for you to understand words and communicate. People who have Wernicke's aphasia can't understand words. They speak with regular rhyme and grammar, but the word don't make sense and they don't realize that what they're saying is nonsense. So also cause problems with reading and writing. You might be able to see or hear words but not understand them. So ila diri words is jumbled gayod. And lastly, nga topic is conduction aphasia. So damage to the arcuate, fasciculus, and my characteristic in siya. First is mispronounced words. Second, poor repetition and comprehension is normally good. So, conduction aphasia is a type of aphasia in which the main impairment is in the inability to repeat words or phrases. Ang person na may conduction aphasia is aware sila sa ila errors kag ila ina i-try pag-correct. For example, no, if they ask to say the word refrigerator and the patient might say frigidator or generator, bahangtod na ila na dayon ma-pronounce ang word correctly. However, a person with conduction aphasia can usually read, write, speak, and understand spoken messages. And that's all. Thank you.
Today, I will talk all about the dichotic listening test. So, two different sounds simultaneously, one through each ear. For example, ang earphone. So, easier to identify the sound that coming the right ear. So, generally speaking, ang right hemisphere is responsible for processing non-logistic or non-verbal like music, traffic, noises, and bird singing. While ang left hemisphere naman kay dominant siya for language sounds. So, moreover, usually dichotic listening tests show a right ear advantage for speech sounds. Right ear or left hemisphere advantage is expected because because of evidence from Broca's area and Wernicke's area, which are both located in the left hemisphere. In contrast, the left ear and therefore the right hemisphere is often better at processing non-logistic material. Next is lateralization or lateral dominance. The specialization of the left side of the brain for language function, and right ear advantage the ability to perceive language is better in the right ear than left ear. Next is left ear advantage the ability to perceive language better in the left ear. So, ang right ear kay mo respond siya more to speech and logic, while ang left ear is more into music, emotion, and intuition. So, based sa scientists na nag-believe sila na ang speech is processed primarily in the left hemisphere of the brain, while music and other creative functions are processed in the right hemisphere. Bali, ang gamit sang lateralization is para ma-identify kung right brain dominant ka ba or left brain dominant. So, that's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma'am, and good afternoon, classmates. The critical period or sensitive period from birth until puberty, when the human brain is most ready to receive input and particular language. In fact, the language acquisition is different after this period. Why? Because lateralization has already occurred by this time. So, the critical period, dapat kayo i-acquire ang language as early para sa yun lang na ma-learn fully and correctly. However, sa sensitive period naman is dapat lang na i-develop as early ang first language para dili na maglisod pag-acquire sang first language o second language. In fact, matun-an naman nila pero maka-experience kayo sang difficulty. If ever the critical and sensitive period is true, ang mga puya nga nag-advance pag-learn sang language from infancy is mas better kaysa puya nga nag-learn lang later.